What is up, everyone? Welcome back for another upload, and in today's upload we're going to be covering this 2002 Toyota 4Runner that I've owned for almost a year. I've done basically everything that I have wanted to do besides the running boards. Those are already ordered. We're going to take the factory ones off and put some Victory 4x4 ones. There's some really nice rock sliders, and they're going to match that Baja rack up there pretty well to make it kind of blend in with that matte powder coat looking color, as well as that Chase snowbound custom Chase spoiler with the Baja lights in the back. So in today's video, I wanted to make it just not a super long video, but a video talking about what makes the 2002 Toyota 4Runner a vehicle that is over 20 years old, what makes it the perfect vehicle to lift and drive every day and still be able to do what you need to do off-roading, as far as maybe trail riding a little bit, or if you live somewhere in the country, or just like going camping or something like that. So we're gonna go over some pros and cons, and I want to start with the cons because if you do know, lifting a 4Runner, you're gonna deplete the gas mileage already. It already doesn't get that great of gas mileage, even for this little 3.4 V6. I think it puts out around 180 some horsepower and over 200 foot-pounds of torque, but still the thing is, it doesn't get great gas mileage. So I probably honestly average around 13 to 14 miles. I think that this thing should get around 15 to 16 if you're lucky and not that heavy on the gas pedal, just around town and probably city or highway. I've taken it traveling to like Texas and stuff, and I probably, when this thing was all basically factory besides the wheels and maybe the added weight from the skid plate combination from all three plates, probably over 100 pounds. Probably average probably close to that 18 mark, but now that it's lifted a little bit, got the Baja rack that weighs a little bit, and the skid plates and everything underneath, I would say a good 13 or 14 solid on a good day. Nothing wrong with that. And the other con is that this thing is not fast whatsoever. I think for the fourth generation of the Toyota 4Runners, they did have a V8 for a little bit, the 4.6, but I don't know anything about that one, so I couldn't tell you if it was fast or not. And I know that they have a TRD supercharged version of these, and I don't know much about those either. So we're just going to mainly focus on this one itself. This one is not that fast. Once you get merged on the highway and you get to that cruising speed with everybody else, this thing does phenomenal, but getting up to that speed, it takes a long time. And again, that gas mileage doesn't help with that foot to the pedal when it's sucking down that gas. But overall, so those are my biggest two cons on this. A third one I might throw in, and it's just a Toyota thing. A lot of Chevy, I own a Chevy Tahoe, so a lot of those for the early 2000s saw it too, along with like any Silverado or Chevy Tahoe GM product or something. Rust in the frame was a big thing for this. I believe Toyota had a recall for this where they attempted or tried to basically put like the vehicle in a new frame or try to coat the frame so rust would not get to it. Luckily, this one is very super clean underneath. The only rust that I ever saw was the muffler, but it is the factory muffler, and it has a small hole that will be addressed. Eventually, when that hole gets a little bigger, we'll put a cap back on it. Probably just a muffler, nothing too fancy to make this thing loud. I don't want it loud at all. So where we're at right now, it's a very super clean 4Runner that doesn't get great gas mileage, and it's pretty slow. So what are the pros? This vehicle, the resale value, that's the #1 pro. You could resell this thing and get, you know, you could ask 10 for it, even as factory, as clean as this one is, or any clean 4Runner, and you'll get it probably tomorrow. I've seen these go up to like 15 and 20, but also depends on the mileage, the condition of everything. This one, I'd say interior is about like an 8 out of 10, almost a 9. There's no stains in the carpet whatsoever, just your, you know, normal wear and tear kind of on the seats, but the seats are actually in phenomenal condition. That's why I have the Carhartt seat covers over them. The outside of it, typical paint age. This will be painted next year. The trim is a big thing, like this peeling here, as far as that as well. And the only ding it has, the first owner actually backed this out of their garage from the story I was told. The second owner did not do any of that. The second owner had it for quite a long time as well, took care of it. You have the Sport Edition badge kind of fading. Honestly, I would take those off. I don't really care for people to know what's under the hood. And the only other thing that I would worry about with this vehicle is just replacing the hoses. A lot of them have been replaced. Eventually these will be replaced, so that is kind of another con thing. The lower ball joints and the hoses kind of brittle over time, and the lower ball joints, this was a big Toyota thing where they just break over time. Some of them randomly, which is kind of surprising, but always stick with the OE Toyota parts. If you do own a Overlander type project or a 4Runner, always go with the OE Toyota parts versus like Napa or something like that. Now, the other pros that I would say is this vehicle is super spacious for what it is. It is a 2002 vehicle. Don't mind the mess in here, but you have a lot of legroom, full-on sunroof. It is a sport edition with the locking diff, I believe, and four-wheel drive. As you can see, plenty of room for even stuff that I have, various things in here, trunk space, WeatherTech mats, and all that. The other thing is that it's, you know, it's not a super big vehicle, but it was probably big in the time for 2002 or that year, the early 2000s, that even in and out of town, I can park this thing no problem. And it's just a rugged, still rugged style vehicle. Looks great. Definitely ahead of its time, I believe, when the Toyota introduced this as its own platform instead of being on the T100, I think it was. I could be wrong. I know it was on like some Toyota truck platform before Toyota introduced the 4Runner as its own kind of platform, and they wanted to redo it entering America. So, but the lighting is pretty good for these vehicles too, factory wise, even though I do have HI or LEDs, I believe, with the retrofitted headlights. And overall, Toyotas just last. That is the number one pro here. Like I said, they look good, they last, and they require low maintenance, and they're one of the best vehicles out there utility wise. I've seen some that are probably, you know, used for work and stuff that are still running and they look like shit, but overall I've had zero maintenance issues with these vehicles. Now, every platform or brand has its common issues. This one, door actuators and just maybe the rust spots a little bit, and there's lower ball joints. But overall, this is the perfect vehicle to lift, whether you want to daily drive it like I do, take it off for like camping, trailing and stuff like that, if you just want to do a whole overland project kind of build. But hopefully that gives you guys a kind of an answer, insight to why this is the best vehicle in a shorter video. I didn't want to make a super long video talking about it, but I can make one talking about it, maybe hitting some trails and stuff and showing you how it does. So I think overall it's going to look great with those running boards taken off. The factory ones at a factory level, they look good like a stance wise, but once those are removed, it'll kind of blend in a little better with the height in the lift kit. I think make it maybe look a little taller from the eye, like walking up on it. And then just that color, I've tried to blend it in together, so that kind of grayish with the matte black and the powder coat, I think it's going to look really good. So that's going to do it for this video, guys. Thanks for stopping by.